Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. And we finish up Mike Grier week by looking back at Mike Grier's first draft class and see how they do. We're going to also look back at the big trade moving back from 11 to 27 and kind of just see what could have been for the Sharks if they had stayed and picked Conor Geekie. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. We are part of the Locked On Network, where we cover your team every day. And of course, you can follow or subscribe wherever you get podcasts and watch this bad boy on YouTube as well. I'm going to continue with the slides. People seem to like the slides. So again, I'm doing the research. Might as well make it look pretty. So we're finishing up Mike Grier week. So Monday, we went back. We looked at all of Mike Grier's first free agent class. Tuesday, double-dipped episode with Mike Grier's trades. Looking back at the Brent Burns, looking back at the Timo Meier, looking back at every trade for a roster personnel. Today, we're going to be digging into his three big trades. Draft day trade, Timo trade, Brent Burns. We're going to be talking about the draft day trade today and look at the rest of his draft class. We also did talk about Mike Grier's first hire, David Quinn, yesterday, and how the Sharks got better in a lot of areas, but got worse in one major area, goaltending. So if you missed any of those episodes, you can go check them out. Also, Patrick Bexel was on this week to discuss, do another draft profile of Otto Stenberg. So busy week here at Locked On Sharks as we celebrate episode 800 for me. That's a lot of episodes. So we're going to go back. Let's start with the big trade, which I think kind of really set what we, kind of the expectations for the Sharks this year was, there was a lot of talk with the Sharks, what they're going to do with 11. Some of the players that they were definitely interested in, who were both taken already, was one Krasinski, who was taken by the Chicago Blackhawks. And then, of course, the other one was Matt Savoy, who was taken by the Sabres at number 9. And those were the two reported players that the Sharks had really wanted at 11. Neither one of them was available. So the Sharks decided to move back. If you need a quick reminder of what the Sharks got for trading with the Arizona Coyotes, looking back, I think they did really well in this trade. So they traded back I'm missing it right now. Okay, sorry. They traded the 11th pick. They traded back to number 27, which was the 2022 first round, 2022 second round pick, which was number 34, and then the 2022 second round pick, which was 45. So they turned one pick into 3 picks, all within about 20 spots of each other. So how we're about almost a year out. How do these players look right now? So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with Conor Geekie, who was the pick at number 11 by the Arizona Coyotes. So had a solid season in 66 games, had 35 goals, 42 assists, 176 shots on goal. Playing on a super stacked team in Winnipeg with the Winnipeg Ice, who are continuing to play right in the playoffs right now. I think they're going to be playing. Who are they playing? I forget. I think they're playing Saskatoon, who reverse swept whoever they were playing. So good for Saskatoon. But Winnipeg Ice are an absolute monster of a team. Just a reminder of players who are on there. One, Mason Bopet, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Some of their other noted players, Matt Savoy, who we've just mentioned, Zach Benson, who's probably going to be a top 10, top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. They also have Carson Lambos. Like they have a ton of premier talent on this team. It is a ridiculous team. They had 6 players had 70 points or more this last season. So absolutely ridiculous team. So Conor Geekie, though, he had 77 points in 66 games, which is solid, but not like a huge jump from what he did last year. And last year in 63 games, he had 70 points. So solid, a 7-point increase in basically 3 more games, and the majority of the more goals this year compared to Sid. He had a better goal to assist ratio this year, but didn't really kind of make a big jump, and that it's a little bit hard to do, especially when you have such a talented, loaded roster where sometimes you're not the kind of premier player. So Geekie, if you want to, Byron Bader. So Byron Bader's model, it's a very, very performance based. So it really kind of leans into points and how you're producing. Geekie right now is a 56% NHL player, which is you played more than 200 games, and 12% star player, which is basically a career at 0.7 career points per game as a forward. As a quick reminder. So, some of his comps as a draft were like Jordan Ellerby, Patrice Bergeron, and now we're kind of seeing guys like Tyler Johnson. So maybe the shine might have come off a little bit either from him as well. But so we'll start with Geekie and then kind of compare what Filip Bysted, who the Sharks ended up taking first. Many people, myself included, were a little puzzled by this pick, but that is why I am sitting here at home making videos that you guys listen to instead of working in a front office, because Bysted had a really, really good season. It's tough to compare numbers, especially, again, remember, Conor Geekie's played against 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Filip Bysted is playing against grown men in the SHL. So as a 18-year-old. So Bysted, who was the 2022 first-round pick, played for Linkoping this season in the SHL. Had 45 games. There are 7 goals, 13 assists, 82 shots on goal. Played mostly the third line for Linkoping, which wasn't a very good team. If you listen to my conversation with Patrick, he talked about Bysted this year ahead. Just wasn't a good team, and it was kind of, that team definitely struggled. But by the end of the season, he was playing first line minutes for this team. I know they were kind of out of it. Again, above the relegation line, but Bysted did play first line minutes for them, and we really saw Bysted take off in the World Juniors this year. And I think for him, playing against people his own age instead of grown men that he's been playing against in the SHL, and you really kind of saw him produce there. So at the where's his numbers here? So he scored at the World Juniors. He had in 7 games, he had 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points in the World Juniors for Team Sweden this year. Had a massive goal to bring that game into overtime, and then unfortunately Sweden lost it in the playoffs there, or in the medal tournament. But you really saw him kind of starting to kind of figure things out type of there. So Byron Bader, he still had, again, very Mattias Havelid, little sneak peek for but very numbers. 42% to be after this season an NHL player, 8% star probability. I still like Bysted. I think Bysted really, really grew on me this season watching him play in a very, very tough competitive league in the SHL. Again, like the SHL is arguably the third best hockey league in the world. I would, you have NHL, KHL, and then you can debate if you want to say AHL or SHL, but it is your pick right there. The worst cases, they're probably the fourth best hockey league, and he is playing against grown men and producing on a bad team over there. So Bysted's just kind of scratching the surface here, and I think Conor Geekie seems like a great player, but you have to be really excited with what I know. The numbers aren't as impressive. The raw numbers aren't as impressive, but again, playing against the competition, he's going to be ready to. It's going to be easier for him to jump into the NHL when he does, because guess what? He will have been playing against grown men for several years by then. So before we continue, do need to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Fit Guarantee, you can be sure that every part you need fits right. The first time around, just add your ride to the My Garage and look for the green check to make sure that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop at eBay Motors with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. So get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guarantee Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, so Geekie for Bysted, and there has been some scouts who've said, Bysted so far has had a better season than Conor Geekie. Again, I know the raw numbers are definitely in favor of Conor Geekie, but he's also the competition, right? You're on a super stacked team playing against teenagers. He's producing, he's doing what he's asked, but you have to be impressed with what Bysted is doing against, professional hockey players in one of the best leagues in the entire world. So let's continue with another piece that the Sharks got back, right? So the first of their second round picks, they selected Cam Lund, who played this season as a freshman in Northeastern, was and the NCAA. 35 games, had 7 goals, 16 assists, 88 shots on goal. Was kind of playing mostly second line minutes for Northeastern. Did have a hat trick in there, so kind of the goals weren't as spread out as you would like. Not that consistent goal scorer, but did have a hat trick, which you'll definitely take. Where I think the third goal was a game winner, very, very deep into the third, if I recall correctly. But Lund, though, you can really see watching some of his games, kind of the transition and his ability to get the puck into the offensive zone and start creating offense there. And again, they had Levi, who ended up going to signing with Buffalo after the season was over. So we'll see what happens. A lot of players with Northeastern did go into the transfer portal. So we'll kind of see where that leaves Cam Lund. But he should have a good opportunity going into his sophomore season to really kind of take a big leap offensively. Again, like I said, you see his transition ability, his ability to kind of create offense and start the offense. And I'm sure the actual goal production will start to come here once, second year, a little bit more familiarity playing college hockey. So his stats. So Lund, 38% chance. So you see his chance to actually become an NHLer increase, 5% chance to become a star producer. So I really like Lund. You really saw him flash last year in the rookie tournament, in the 3-on-3 selection. That's again, him in open ice is absolutely deadly. That shot, like I said, I think once he continues to kind of grow and mature that shot, you saw the shot. I think it'll come, and you're going to start to see more and more of that actual goal production coming from him here starting next season. So Northeastern, though, is going to be interesting with a lot of moving pieces of players kind of leaving there, and Cameron Lund might be jumping into a top kind of role with them, a top line role with Northeastern really, really quickly here, depending on the players who have left. So the third and final piece, Mattias Havelid, so 2022 second round pick, played with Linkoping with Filip Bysted. 25 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, and 32 shots on goal. Did miss about the first half of the season to up until right around Christmas time with a back injury, but played really, really well at the end of the season. The 4 goals, you definitely see that shot of his. If you've seen any of his highlights, that shot has some eyes on it. So Havelid, I don't expect kind of a slow development with him, especially as a defenseman, but good to see that he had a really strong second half of this season, coming back from a back injury. So I like his offensive production. I like his skating. I think Havelid is going to be a Shark in a couple years, but I think the Sharks really, really found something in Havelid. So his numbers, again, missing the first half of the season, I think really, really kind of puts him in the numbers aren't going to be favorable to him, but 33% chance to be an NHL player, 3% chance as a star. Remember, defensively, it's 0.45 career points per game to be considered a star producer on the blue line. But, kind of reviewing, right? Would you rather have Conor Geekie, or would you rather have Bysted, Cam Lund, and Mattias Havelid? And I'm going to go with those 3. I think all 3 of those guys have a really good chance to become NHL players. It's not going to happen right away. I think Bysted will be the first to be in the NHL out of those 3, just because we know size. You can't teach size, all that fun stuff. Defensemen usually take the longest, and Lund's going to be stuck in I think Lund's going to be in college in college for about 3 years. So we'll see after his junior season what the Sharks want to do. But unless Lund has an absolute monster breakout season, I expect him to be there at least 3 seasons, and then you can maybe get him to leave a year early if you really, really want him to. But though I think all these guys have really, really high, really, really good upside and really, really good floors as well. Like I said, I expect all these guys to be playing in the NHL at some point for the Sharks. And Conor Geekie might be a really great player, but I was, if you remember going back until before last year's draft, Conor Geekie was not my favorite guy, and I'm happy with the 3 guys the Sharks have compared to Conor Geekie. So anyway, before we continue, look at the rest of the draft picks. So we spent a lot of time on these 2 guys. We'll kind of go through a little bit quicker with some of the other guys. Do want to take a quick break. Let you guys know. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen every day. Every Dayers, we'll be back next week. We'll have more draft profiles lined up, and we'll have another theme. I'm still working out the kinks for what we're going to do for next week. But just remember, you guys can follow in Locked On Sharks every day, part of the Locked On Network. All right. Let's jump back in with Michael Fisher, the defenseman the Sharks picked in the 3rd round. Missed a majority of the season with a knee injury this year. Only played 14 games, no points during that time. Did have 15 shots on goal, which is kind of nice to see. Very big, toolsy guy who's going to slow development with him. You see the offensive prowess, but this year was basically lost with a knee injury. So good to see him come back at the end of the season. So he should be in college next year. If I remember, it's Northeastern or one of those colleges up there in the Northeast somewhere. So 30% NHL probability, 3% star probability. Again, lost season this year with the injuries. So we shall hopefully next year in college, much, much better season for him. So Mason Beaupit, the 2022 4th round pick from played for Winnipeg, got traded, midway through the season. originally with Spokane, played 31 games, 875 save percentage, 415 goals against average, 761 saves. The numbers for Spokane versus the numbers versus Winnipeg, night and day, was just brutal numbers with Spokane. I think he went 0 for 8 or 0 for 9 and was goals against average right around 5, some ridiculous, like over 5 if I remember correctly. So tough year for Bopit. But playing in front of a better team, we don't, again, with the goalies, right, it takes a long time. And save percentages in juniors are going to be much lower than what you see in other leagues. So unless your team's really good. 36 percentile to become an NHL goalie right now. We'll see next year, especially if he kind of maybe has a job to himself. I don't think Winnipeg's going to lose some talent, but they'll still be really good next year as well. So a little tough to kind of gauge with Bopit right now. Jake Furlong, 2022 5th-round pick, plays for Halifax. 67 games, 7 goals, 43 assists, 153 shots on goal for Jake Furlong. And then Q. Reminder, Q defense is hit or miss to begin with. I missed up this thing. But, I think with Furlong, you're going to see some points because of Halifax is a monster type of team. But for him, I think it's going to be learning the defensive side of the game still. So they're still playing in the QMJHL playoffs right now. I think they're in the third round or whatever. So they are still alive. We'll probably do a check-in here pretty soon on those guys. So see how they're continuing their season. So Joey Maldoni, 2022 6th-round pick, played with Des Moines in the USHL. 61 games, 15 goals, 14 assists, 123 shots on goal this season. I believe he's going to Northeastern next season. So we're Northwestern again. One of those dog teams up in the north. There's the Furlong. So Furlong, really quick, 40% NHL probability, 5% star probability. Moldoni, 9% NHL probability, 1% star probability as well. A lot of these guys here, remember, kind of shots. You're taking a shot on some of these guys, hoping they kind of turn out for you. So Eli Barnett, the 2022 7th-round pick played for the Victoria Grizzlies in the BCHL. 52 games, 4 goals, 5 assists. You're not drafting Eli Barnett for the offense. He's big. He plays defense. So 3% NHL probability, 0% star. I think he's going to University of Vermont next season. So going to be playing college hockey next year as well. So, and then finally, Rieselbach, who 2027 7th-round pick, he was traded as well this season. He ended his season with Omaha in the USHL. Played 50 games, had 11 goals, 13 assists, 96 points during that time. The hometown San Jose kid, 13% NHL probability, 1% star probability. So where is Reese playing next year? I forget where he's playing. I'm pulling it up right now. You really saw him find his groove once he got traded to Omaha. He's playing with Minnesota State University. So, after starting the season with Youngstown, got traded, and you really, he had 4 points in 17 games with Youngstown, 20 points in 33 games with Omaha. So, really found his groove once he got traded. So, and we'll be spending next year with Minnesota State. Again, local kids from San Jose. So, kind of everyone's rooting for him as well. So yeah, that is Mike Grier's first draft. Some of these guys are, definitely the long projects. A lot of these guys going to college. We know Mike Grier. The thing we loved from Mike Grier's thing we learned the most from Mike Grier's first draft, he loves Swedes and he loves college kids because they're either in college. Majority of them are either going to be in college next year or they're going to be playing in Sweden. Mason Bopit, I think, is the only player who's going to be playing anywhere else, basically. So, I think looking back, none of these guys feel home runish. You're not looking back like going, oh yeah, this guy I could see being a star. But I feel like the Sharks have a lot of really solid players added to their pipeline. I think you have to feel really good about those top 3 picks. We'll see with Michael Fisher if he can get his next season on track after the injury. This season, first year in college, we'll see with him again. Really, really toolsy defensive player, or D-man. Love to get active and score a bunch of goals off the rush. But again, Bysted, I think he's going to be I think he feels like an NHL player just watching his games as he continues to kind of grow into his frame. Havelid looks really smooth out there, and Cam Lund, like I said, that transition game reminds me a lot of Barabanov, where it's just like, boom, I'm gonna kind of go and find the open guy. I'm not saying Cam Lund's going to be Barabanov, but it just kind of reminded me of that, his ability to carry the puck into the zone and then find a guy type of thing. So I think Lund might have a little bit better of a shot projecting, which we've seen. But if you get Barabanov with a little bit better shot, sign me up for that. So yep, that's going to be it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed Mike Grier week. We'll be back next week. Play some Star Wars and think about what we're going to talk about next week. So as we continue to get closer to the draft, I know we'll do the week of, so next week is the first week of May. The following week is draft lottery. So we'll probably dedicate that week to the draft, especially talking about the draft lottery, where the Sharks are going to end up picking, start looking at some trade up, trade down scenarios. So we're going to kind of spend that week probably talking about the draft. We got free agency coming. There's plenty of stuff. So make sure you guys are following along, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. We cover your team every day. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me on Twitter at my fry hole. And until Monday, bye, friends.